your favorite podcast platforms. You could find us on YouTube, and please remember to subscribe. You could find us at realmeneatplants.com. My guest today, look at those muscles. I met Dominick Faircloth when I was in Sarasota having a hernia operation in December. And Dominick works as the assistant manager at one of the great vegan restaurants in America. It's called Ionie's Organic Cafe, and we're going to talk about that. It's one of my, I'd say, two favorite vegan restaurants in America. And Dominick also won first place in the men's Beachbody division of the All Natural World Vegan Bodybuilding Championship. And I am still a little pissed off about that because I came in second place. I think I saw Dominick bribing the judge, so we'll talk about that. Dominick, welcome to the show.
Hey Glenn, thanks for having me.
So, when you won first place in the men's bodybuilding division of the All Natural World Vegan Bodybuilding Championship, Men's Beachbody Championship, how did that feel?
Oh man, I was on cloud nine. I was super elated. Like I couldn't believe it. It was just I had never competed before. It was my first time competing.
Uh-huh.
I got invited to compete in the competition kind of last minute, maybe like 2 months in advance or something like that. My friend
Uh-huh.
Jeff Palmer let me know. He was the one who hosted it and put the event on, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm already in decent shape. I'll give it a shot. Why not? You know."
How long did you train for this?
Um, I've been working out just like as a average gym goer, you know. I wasn't like training to be a bodybuilder. And
Uh-huh.
but yeah, when he invited me to the competition, I was like, all right, I'm gonna take this seriously. And I started training like even more, like going as much as I could, like five, six
Right.
times a week. And yeah, it paid off apparently, and I ended up doing it.
I remember when I was in Sarasota, I wanted to challenge you to an arm wrestle, but I had just had hernia surgery, so I couldn't do it.
Next time.
So tell us about your health journey. You didn't grow up vegan, did you?
No, not at all. I had never even heard the word vegan until I was 23.
Uh-huh.
And I was raised standard American diet eating like everybody else. I
Where'd you
literally
grow up?
out here in Sarasota,
Okay.
and my parents still have the house we grew up in. And yeah, I was literally allowed to eat like whatever I wanted growing up.
Uh-huh.
I would eat like ice cream cones and pizza rolls before school, even in
Uh-huh.
elementary school. And needless to say, I had a bunch of health problems flaring up. I was always a little bit overweight. And in middle school, my pediatrician pulled me aside and he's like, "So you're a little overweight. Um, do you drink?" His first question was, "Do you drink whole milk?" And I was like, "Yeah, like breakfast, lunch, dinner, like strawberry milk, chocolate milk, cereal, milkshakes, you know."
Uh-huh.
And he's like, "Try cutting back to skim milk. And if you don't like that, settle for like 1 or 2% milk." And so I didn't like skim milk and I didn't like 1% milk. So I went to 2% milk. And just going from whole milk to 2% milk as a middle school kid, I dropped like 30 pounds, which is pretty
You
significant.
dropped 30 pounds just from going from whole milk to 2%
Yeah,
milk?
pretty quickly. And so growing up, I had chronic asthma. I was allergic to like over 90 different things. I had all the little needles put in your back that test you for stuff. I was allergic to every type of animal dander, from cat, dog, bird, you name it. I couldn't go into any of my relatives' houses that had animals because I was so allergic. If the I was allergic to fresh cut grass.
Oh
So
my goodness.
if the neighbor was mowing his lawn, I'd be on the floor hyperventilating. My throat would swell up. I had every steroid inhaler they made, like the one you like blow the accordion in and out and stuff. And but when my pediatrician told me to go to 2% milk and I lost that weight, all my allergies disappeared. And as a little kid, I didn't think anything of it. You know, they tell you, oh, you outgrew your childhood allergies, but I was really cutting out one of the main contributing factors I would learn later on in life, which is dairy.
Yeah, but you weren't cutting out dairy because you were still having the 2% milk.
Yeah, I was like cutting back on it. If only my pediatrician had known about veganism and known the dangers of dairy and would have just told me to stop it completely, I'd probably be light years ahead of where I am
So,
now.
so
But
when you changed the nature of the milk from whole milk to 2% milk, did you also reduce the amount you were drinking?
no.
No. So
Yeah.
I'm really surprised you kept drinking the milk. Did you just change the nature of the milk and your allergies went away?
Yeah, it was pretty surprising.
Yeah, I can't understand how that happened, but I'm glad it happened for you.
Yeah, right. And it was a huge relief too, because like I love animals, and yeah, I literally couldn't even go in my relatives' houses that had animals. So like cats or dogs, had to stay outside in the car and play like games or something.
All right. So you changed the nature of the milk that you were making the mistake of drinking,
Yeah.
and you lost 30 pounds. The allergies went away. Did you still have any health problems at that point?
Yeah, I had so in my late teens, early 20s, I started developing arthritis in my joints.
Arthritis as a young man.
Yeah, I had
Oh,
arthritis and also TMJ in my left jaw, which
mhm.
stands for tempomandibular joint dysfunction. It's basically where your jaw hinges to your skull. And so for me, it was like bone on bone grinding, and it was like super excruciating pain. I couldn't chew properly. It felt like my jaw was going to Charlie horse and lock out of place when I yawned. And so that lasted for like 5, 6 years. I couldn't even
5
move.
or 6 years of excruciating pain.
Yeah, it would
Did it make
click and
eating very difficult?
yeah, so I couldn't chew very well. I had digestive issues as a result of that. It hurt to like just move my jaw side to side like this.
Oh my.
Like I
So this
couldn't.
was in your early 20s,
Yeah, late teens, early 20s,
and
and
2% milk didn't solve that problem.
no, it didn't. And so I went to a TMJ specialist, and they're like, "Oh, this is hereditary. You got it from your father. It's incurable, but like surgery might help you, but surgery could make it worse." I'm like, "Man, I don't want to go through that." My dad had already had the TMJ surgery for his at like 65 years old, and it made it worse. I'm like, "Damn, I really don't want to go through that." And yeah, so the arthritis in my joints was getting worse, TMJ was getting worse. And I got into scuba diving and stuff, and that I realized I didn't like the way I looked in a wetsuit, the way I looked in a wetsuit. So I was like, I got to do something about this. And I realized in the pool that I wasn't that physically fit as I thought. So I started getting into working out, and I wanted to get healthy like, everyone else. And so I went to a gym. And then I also found there was a transformation challenge by bodybuilding.com where it was like a 3 month transformation challenge. All you had to do was submit your before and after photos, and you could win $50,000. I'm like, whoa, I'm going to try this, And they had like a trainer that you could follow and listen
Uh-huh.
to, and as far as like diet and exercise regimens go. And I was like, yeah, I'll either be in the best shape of my life or maybe I'll even win $50,000. I'll try it. And so I started training like a bodybuilder and eating like a bodybuilder. And the guy I was following at the time on bodybuilding.com was telling you to eat like 6 meals a day, 3 protein shakes a day. Each protein shake consisted of dairy milk, 2% milk, and whey protein, which is also a dairy derivative protein. And the guy I was following would also wake up in the middle of the night and drink a casein protein shake, which is a
Oh,
slower digesting dairy protein, and go
oh.
back to sleep. And so I did that. And I didn't, and each meal consisted of like lean chicken, fish, or steak, clean carbs, brown rice, sweet potatoes, not much fruit because the fruit's bad in the bodybuilding world. It like yeah, it's just like frowned upon and not good for you apparently. And so yeah, I was eating like that, didn't miss a single workout, didn't miss a single meal. And at the end of the competition, I got strong, but I felt miserable inside. Like all my problems were getting worse. The TMJ
Uh-huh.
was worse. Now I also had full-blown body acne, like worse than when I was a teenager. I'm like, what
Uh-huh.
the heck happened? I thought I was eating clean and healthy like a bodybuilder. And
Right.
apparently I was just turning my body acidic from all this animal protein and dairy and whey protein.
And you didn't win
And
the 50 grand?
I did not, but the guy who did definitely deserved it. He had a really cool transformation. But I was already in relatively decent shape because I was like already in the gym scene at the time.
Uh-huh.
And But yeah, so I had full body acne. I had like constant hemorrhoids, indigestion. I found out I was like malabsorbed. So it's like I was eating a
Were
lot
you
of,
eating a lot of meat?
yeah, like I said, each meal during that competition was
Yeah.
6 ounces of lean chicken, fish, or steak, 6 meals a day.
Wow.
And I was doing like lots of eggs and stuff for breakfast, and it was ridiculous. And like I said, all my health problems were getting worse. The arthritis, the TMJ, acne outbreaks, more hemorrhoids, more indigestion and digestive issues. I was having like irregular heart palpitations. I had what else? Oh, I self-diagnosed this. I don't know what it was. I went to a leg specialist and a knee specialist, and they didn't know what it was, but it looked like a physical bruise on the back of my right knee. And it just looked like it started about the size of a dime and got to about the size of a $50. And it looked like someone just punched me in the back of my knee. It was like a dark black and blue bruise. And it just got bigger and bigger. And by the end of the competition, it was so bad that like I couldn't even squat down to tie my shoe because it would cut off the nerves and send nerve pain all up and down my spine. And I would literally black out from the pain. And so I went
Wow.
to a knee specialist, a leg specialist. And like, we don't know what this is. We have to either do radiation scans or do some surgery to like try and find out what's going on in there. And I was like, I don't want to do that. Like, there's got to be a more natural way. This is crazy. Like, what's happening? I thought I was doing the right things, you know? And so I refused that surgery. I refused the TMJ surgery. I went home and I finally sat down and did the nutritional research for myself. And I quickly came across veganism and a plant-based diet. And then I found out something called Curlian photography. I don't know if you've heard of that.
No.
They've developed a camera technology that can see energy signatures of living things. It's really cool. So, like, you know, spiritual people can see like auras of colors around people. So, this camera technology can basically see these colorful halo auras around living things. And so, if you take a picture of a piece of apple or a broccoli, for example, it has this nice, shiny, bright, energetic electrical halo current around it. But then, if you cook, steam, boil, or microwave that apple or fruit, vegetable, whatever, over 115 degrees or so for extended periods of time, you start to denature and kill the living enzymes in the food, and that life force goes away. And the camera technology can see this. Then it'll start to resemble like a piece of meat, which has like no living energy signature coming off of it because it's dead. It's a rotting piece of flesh.
Right.
And I was like, wow, so there's the science that shows like raw living food is way more nutritious and energetic for you. Like, why are we eating anything else? And I'm like, we're the only species on the planet cooking our food. Like, why are we doing this? And then I found some long-term raw foodists online, and they seemed to be like defying the aging process. And I was like, they really had you had me intrigued, you know, and opened my mind. And I was like, I'm gonna try this because I don't want to do surgery. So
All
what I
right.
had
So
to do
you
is,
went from a terrible diet of meat 6 times a day
yeah.
to raw living vegan food.
Yeah, I went
A
raw overnight.
complete 180.
Because also in my research, I found out that the World Health Organization classified processed meat, meaning if you cook, steam, boil, microwave, do anything to meat, basically cooking wise, you create carcinogenic compounds equal to asbestos, plutonium, smoking cigarettes, arsenic, etc. And I was like, holy crap. So I threw meat in the trash. Then I found out
Good.
that dairy is directly linked to osteoporosis, calcium bone deficiency. Like, what happened to milk builds strong bones, right?
Right.
They don't even say that anymore because they know it's a complete lie. And it also leads to arthritis, which I had arthritis in all my joints. And I was like, man, it's also linked to breast cancer in women, like reproductive cancers, um, yeah, allergies and stuff like I had. And so I threw dairy in the trash. I was like, screw that. I'm not going to play with that
Good.
anymore. Then I also found out that eggs, even if they're grass-fed, free-range, organic, cage-free, doesn't matter because at the end of the day, that egg is mostly saturated fat and cholesterol. They cannot scientifically label eggs healthy, safe, or nutritious because it's mostly saturated fat and cholesterol, which leads to the leading causes of death in people such as heart disease, cardiovascular disease, diabetes. I'm like, holy crap, like everything I knew was a lie. So I threw
Yeah.
eggs in the trash and I went raw vegan overnight. I was like, I'm not playing around. I got
You
stuff
went
to heal.
raw vegan overnight. Now, did you have some guru who was, the one whose raw vegan diet you followed, or did you just make it up yourself?
No, I had seen some long-term raw foodists that were defying aging and stuff that inspired me, but I didn't like follow their plans or anything like that. I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just gonna go raw vegan and try it. So I was doing like a lot of spinach and banana smoothies with like almond milk in the beginning, and that was like a big staple because I was like, wow, I'm getting my greens, I'm getting my fruit. I don't really know what I'm doing, but it's tasty and it works. It's simple and I feel great. And within the first
Okay, so that's you're drinking the smoothies, but did you feel a desire to eat more food?
Right. So I cut everything out. I cut out coffee, soda, you name it. I was like, I'm going fully raw vegan. I'm not playing around anymore. So I did have like cravings and withdrawals because like you're literally cutting out all these things that you're
Right.
stimulated and addicted to. And dairy has naturally occurring case of morphine. So it's like you're trying to kick morphine addiction basically.
Yeah.
And that case of morphine is there, of course, so the baby cow wants to keep drinking from the mother's milk, but then we also get chemically addicted to this stuff. And that's why it's so hard to kick that habit for most
Right.
vegetarians and vegans.
Right.
But yeah, so I fought the cravings for the first month, but I was feeling so good. I was like, I don't even care anymore. I was like, within that first month, I was like, I had no idea you could feel this freaking good. And I was
So
like,
so
I'll
you're
never
drinking the
stop.
smoothies, but are you eating salads? Are you eating
Yeah,
a lot of fruits?
yeah, I was doing a lot of big salads too in the beginning there, but
Okay.
yeah, and like my salads were massive because I came from a bodybuilding diet, so I was used to eating like large volumes of food frequently, throughout the day, so I could eat a
Okay.
lot. And what I quickly realized too is that I was actually malabsorbed. So because I wasn't chewing properly and I was eating a crappy diet my whole life, my digestive system was really messed up and backed up. So like I was eating a lot of food, but it was just going right through me, and I wasn't actually assimilating all those nutrients. So it's just kind of wasting a lot of.
So how old were you when you went on this raw food vegan diet?
Yeah, so I was like 23, 24, somewhere around there.
23,
The exact,
24.
but yeah, it was like March 3rd, something like that. But
Oh,
anyway,
your
yeah,
anniversary is coming up.
yeah, it's really close. That'll be 11 years. And anyway, yeah, I'd never heard the
So
word
11 years now.
vegan.
So you're about 34 now,
Yeah,
and you've
yep.
stayed on the raw food vegan diet the whole time.
I did that for 3 years straight,
Okay.
and I reversed everything. The TMJ disappeared after like 2.5 years. Like there was no shred of evidence that I ever even had it. Like I couldn't do that
Uh-huh.
without excruciating pain. And the blood
So
clot.
do you think it was inflammation that slowly went away on the diet?
Yeah, I think it was that, and yeah, maybe some like calcium erosion or deposit, from like inorganic stuff and like the dairy, like leaching
Uh-huh.
calcium from my jaw and stuff. I don't know exactly, but
Hmm.
yeah, I think it was a combination of all the above there. And so that disappeared about 8 months in. The thing behind my knee, that blood clot or whatever it was, disappeared, and then I gained more flexibility than I ever had in my life without even trying. So that was amazing. The bruise disappeared completely. My acne cleared up. I got to a point where I didn't even produce body odor anymore. I'm like, this is unheard of. Like, this is so
Hmm.
wild to me. And just things like everything got better. Things I didn't even know would heal started healing, and things I didn't even know were an issue. Like I
Uh-huh.
had a receding gum line from brushing my teeth too hard, allegedly from the dentist. They told me that I was brushing too hard, apparently, and they told me I could never heal that either. But my gums started to regrow back onto
Uh,
the teeth and everything, so that was really cool. I reversed like cavities and stuff, started healing naturally. Um,
Reversed cavities.
yeah,
That's one I never heard of before.
it was
Wow.
amazing. Yeah, I
What did your
stopped going.
dentist say about that?
I stopped going to the dentist because I'd gone to a dentist my whole life, right? And I went once when I was like, I don't know, 19 or 20, I think was the last time I went. And I had a new dental assistant working on me that had never worked on me before. And she was just like doing the pre-cleaning before the dentist actually comes in. And she was like, you have a receding gum line. And I was like, what does that mean? She goes, how do you brush your teeth? And I'm like, what kind of toothbrush do you use? I'm like, no, firm bristle toothbrush. And I scrub, like scrubbing all the stuff off your teeth, right? And she goes, oh no, she looked horrified at me. She's like, you're supposed to use a soft bristle toothbrush and you're supposed to hold it so gently that someone could just take it out of your hand and use the friction to brush your teeth. I'm like, why are you the first person in all my years of going to a dentist to tell me this? And so I was like,
Hmm.
and I asked her, I was like, what can I do? And she goes, well, nothing. The damage is done. You just got to stop damaging your teeth by brushing them too hard. And I was like, crap. And I was like, so infuriated. I was like, I don't even know what to trust anymore. So I just stopped going to a dentist. I'm like, but yeah, like I just noticed my teeth health just started improving on the plant-based diet and everything too.
Uh-huh.
And it's just amazing. And I kept going with it. And like, yeah, one by one, all my issues cleared up and disappeared. I never got a hemorrhoid again. I never got sick anymore. I never even got like flus. The worst thing I would ever get is maybe a runny nose that would last a day or so and disappear.
Did
Um,
you get any flus in the last 11 years?
I don't think so, no.
Did you get COVID?
No, and I was working in the restaurant industry during the whole time too, like scrubbing dishes, interacting with
Uh,
customers. I was like a manager at a different vegan restaurant at that time. And yeah, never got vaccinated, never really wore a mask or anything like that, never social distanced, never got sick at all.
Wow.
And, it was amazing. Yeah, my sleep improved, just things I didn't even know were going to get better got better. It was just amazing.
Yeah. And when you would work out to build muscles, did that go better too on the
Yeah,
plant-based diet?
I noticed that I recovered quicker in the gym. I had way less inflammation. I was still making gains, even though I'm just doing smoothies and salads and stuff for the most part now. And I also learned that you can make like raw vegan cheesecakes. I started having fun with that. And I was like, this is going to be easy.
So, how did your friends in the gym react to your new diet? And that it contradicts probably what they were doing.
Yeah, it was new to a
Did
lot of
any of them
people.
go vegan as a result of watching your muscles grow?
I definitely inspired a lot of people along the way and started making them question things too, for sure. And my whole family was like, they thought I was extreme and kind of crazy and losing it, but like they couldn't deny that I was getting results and that I was healing everything that doctors told me I could never heal.
Hmm.
And the proof is in the pudding. It was just amazing. And
Yeah.
yeah, I
So,
got, I've definitely converted a lot of people along the way to the vegan diet. I do a lot of vegan activism as well. So
what kind of vegan activism do you do?
I was working with Anonymous for the Voiceless a lot. So we're showing like slaughterhouse footage in public and talking to people about that and, making them realize like where their food comes from and
Right.
helping them connect their morals and their ethics and find their heart again towards animals and what they're doing and how it's like the most environmentally destructive industry on the planet is
Yes, it is.
animal agriculture and stuff. So
So you found the diet from a health search that you were
yeah.
doing. It wasn't you didn't find the diet because you were upset about the treatment of animals or
No, but I quickly learned about the horrors of
but you
that
you
too.
quickly learned about it. So it once you discovered what was right for your body, you learned about how it's also right for the animals and right for the world.
Yeah, it was amazing. Like at first, it started out as like a selfish endeavor, like, oh, I'm just gonna go plant-based for my health and take care of me. Then I'm like, wow, I'm simultaneously helping animals. I love animals. Like, I don't want to
Right.
be a part of that anymore. And I'm also helping the environment. It's just like a no-brainer. It's a win-win
Right.
all around for everybody.
Right. And by the way, people often say what you just said that initially I was doing it for selfish reasons for my own health. But I'll point out this. You've got people who love you. So when you do something for your own health, it's
True.
actually not selfish because
Very true.
you're helping all the people who love you.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
so uh, I met you working at this great restaurant you work at called Ionie's Organic Cafe in
Yeah, Ionie's
downtown
living. I
Sarasota.
changed the name recently to Ionie's Living Food and Tonics.
Oh, that's what it's called now? Ionie's
Yeah,
Living Food and Tonics?
yeah.
I didn't
We're
know that.
Yeah, we're just outside of Whole Foods, downtown Sarasota. So if you park in the Whole Foods parking lot, you can just walk right over to the cafe. and
Right.
fully raw, vegan, organic, gluten-free,
And that's what I
healthiest
did.
food in
And
town.
so as I was recovering from my hernia surgery, my wife and I would come in the morning and I would get this garden wrap that you would make for me. It was so amazingly good. I would advise people if you're within, I'd say, a 12-hour drive of Sarasota, just drive down, get there in the morning, and have the garden wrap for breakfast. And
Totally.
then for lunch, there were these pizzas you would make. My wife really loved the pizzas. And what were these are raw pizzas. So what were the ingredients of the raw pizzas?
Yeah, it's really cool. Everything is raw. Like we don't even have any device to cook anything in the whole place. So, but they're made to mimic things that we're used to eating. So we have an Italian pizza, we have a pesto pizza, a Greek pizza, and a white pizza. They all have a macadamia nut cheese on them. The crust is a sprouted buckwheat crust with carrots, flax meal, olive oil, garlic, and spices, and it's dehydrated, so it's kind of like a softer cracker consistency. Then they have little toppings on them, like they have a Brazil nut meat. They have peppers on certain ones. There's like marinated spinach and kale on the Greek one with olives. It's really like really flavorful olives and little tomatoes and stuff. And the pesto has a basil pistachio pesto on it. It's just amazing.
I don't usually consume food with oil in it, but I made an exception in your cafe because the oil isn't heated
Yeah.
and the food is so delicious
Mhm.
that I didn't mind getting a little olive oil in my food at
Yeah, it's truly raw.
Ionie's.
It's all cold pressed. We only use
Yeah.
organic olive oil that's cold pressed, and we don't use a lot of oil, so it's very sparing.
Right. It was not greasy food at
Yeah,
all. Not at
yeah,
all. Um, and so my wife and I talk about you know, what should we have for lunch today? Can we go to Sarasota and just go back to Ionie's, now called Ionie's Living Foods and Tonics?
yeah. Living food.
What was wrong with our Ionie's Organic Cafe?
Well, it used to be called Ione Organic Cafe and Retreat, I think, because it was
Uh-huh.
connected to a wellness center. Because Ione
Okay.
herself is a Rolfing massage therapist, so
Okay.
then she had like a spa with an infrared sauna, an ozone sauna,
Now,
and
Ionie's a great character. Will you help me convince her to come on my show?
I know she's really a special person. So
Yeah.
that would be
So
really
how did you
amazing.
meet Ione and when did you start working with her?
Yeah, so when you go raw, there's not really many places you can eat out.
Uh-huh.
So you do a quick Google search, you find like the only raw vegan cafe in the area, and of course you go there frequently. So yeah, I would go there a lot, and yeah, and then one day after I lost my job at a different vegan spot that was going under, I moved back to Sarasota, and I just went in there again, and I was like, "Hey, are you guys hiring? Because I love this place so much. Like, I would love to work here.
Uh-huh.
It's just the healthiest food, literally in the whole state, arguably the whole
Oh,
country.
absolutely.
Like every single ingredient is truly organic. We never
Yeah.
compromise, and it's just
Yeah.
it's
If
amazing. And
if
people feel it, when you come in there, that like people who've never eaten this stuff before, they're like this is like they can just feel the life force in the food and the vibrancy and
yeah.
how good it makes them feel. And then they see everyone working there just like with a big smile and so happy to be
Yeah,
there.
that's the other thing
The energy
about
is
the restaurant is the
amazing.
atmosphere.
Yeah.
Um, Really is. It may be the healthiest restaurant in America.
It
And
might be.
and as for the atmosphere, it's just kind of so open and friendly, and you get the feeling that there are regulars who come in all the time, and they know
Oh
each
yeah,
other, and they know the people who work there.
for
And
sure.
am I right about that? A lot of
Yeah,
regulars coming back all the
definitely.
time.
Yeah. Yeah, most of our business is repeat customers for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly. And there's one other restaurant, vegan restaurant in Pittsburgh that has that friendly atmosphere too. It's a
Mhm.
little more of an evening place. I think it's just on weekends called the Apteca, and it's an Eastern European vegan food. So it's
Nice.
food like pierogies that people are used to having with that non-vegan, and they make it vegan. And
Yeah.
it's a great atmosphere, really friendly place. And those to me are the two best vegan restaurants in America.
Nice. I'll have to check them out when I go
And yeah,
there.
and it's the atmosphere as well as the food because it just feels like it's a friendly place.
Yeah.
Um, so um, when you met Ionie, um, did she does she have certain attitudes about food that she makes sure that all her employees understand and are in sync with?
Yeah, she does. And that's one of the things that frustrates our customers the most
Yeah.
is because she doesn't believe that we should be eating very late in the day, like we should be eating during like sun hours.
Uh-huh.
So I think she personally probably does her last meal of the day at like maybe like 2, 3 o'clock for the latest.
Right.
And so she
Right.
doesn't really want to be encouraging other people to eat late. So she closes the cafe early. So we're only open till 5.
Uh-huh. So what
But
are the hours from when do you
yeah,
open?
from 8 a.m. in the morning till 5 in the evening, and
Yeah.
Monday through Saturday, and then we close 1 hour early on Saturday at 4 o'clock, and then we're closed Sunday.
Yeah.
And our kitchen closes early at 2:30 also. So you have to make sure your order's in by 2:30. Then we hold it there for you. We have a little grab and go case. The grab and go
Yeah.
cases are stocked with entrees, juices, and smoothies too. So you can come in after the kitchen's
Yeah.
closed, still grab something and dine there or take
Yeah.
it to go.
Yeah.
All right, if you've ever wanted to show off your plant-based lifestyle and do it in style, here's your chance. We have some of the most amazing t-shirts, hats, accessories, coffee mugs, and more at shop.realmeneatplants.com. We have statement t-shirts that will bring a smile to everyone's face. I love the I want tofu tonight tee. Plus, we have podcast tees, Real Women Eat Plants gear, Real Kids Eat Plants, and Real People Eat Plants, just in case men, women, and kids didn't cover it all. Yeah, we love you and love that you want to show off that healthy lifestyle of yours. Again, check out our high-quality gear at shop.realmeneatplants.com and enjoy.
Yeah. So I recall when you go in, you can find the grab and go in the refrigerator, or you can ask you or one of your colleagues to make it right fresh at
Yep.
this when you come in.
Yeah.
Um, and how long does it take to make a pizza, for example?
That's really quick. We already have all the crusts like dehydrated and ready to go. So it's
Yeah.
just a matter of like slathering some macadamia nut cheese on there, some marinara, whatever toppings, and
Uh-huh.
let like 5 minutes they can get a raw
That's
pizza.
amazing.
Yeah.
You can have a raw pizza made for you in 5 minutes, and it's the healthiest pizza in America. Um, so how many people work there now?
It's probably maybe a dozen of us almost. Let's see, we
Uh-huh.
got Ionie, me, Martin. We just hired a new chef as well. We got Nev.
Now, are you considered a chef there?
I kind of do a little bit of everything, but mostly
Uh,
I try to be front customer service because I just love
uh,
interacting with people and
yeah,
sharing my
but you
story,
do. I mean, you do
inspiring them.
create the pizzas and the garden wraps right there, which is
Mhm.
what being a chef is in this sort of restaurant. It isn't cooking.
Yeah, uncooking.
So, how has your diet changed in the 11 years
Mhm.
since you've been a raw vegan?
Yeah, so after the first 3 years, and I healed everything, including like the TMJ, which was like my biggest issue I was battling, I was like, all right, I'll live a little and show my family that it's not so extreme to be vegan and raw, like
Uh-huh.
eat some cooked food a little bit, and start
Uh-huh.
experimenting with stuff. And I also wanted to try some of the vegan products. So I would like know what to recommend to people who are transitioning because I know what it's
Mm.
like to eat burgers and pizzas and stuff like that and junk food. And I wanted to be like, hey, like if you used to eat that, like try this. It's a great vegan alternative. It's even though it's like a plant-based processed vegan junk food item, it's still way better than eating the animal products, and you're not hurting the animals, and you're helping the
Mm.
environment. So it's just like a huge step in the right direction, even if you're going to play with those kind of foods. But I don't really eat a lot of that stuff. I experimented for a while, just tasting things and getting an idea of what's out there. But it's so cool. Like you can literally go in the supermarket and get like anything you eat normally, plant-based. And so, but now, yeah, so I'm still mostly raw. And in my raw journey, so I went from, like I
Now
said,
you said you're mostly raw. So what do you eat
yeah,
that isn't raw?
yeah, I'm probably like 95% raw these days.
Okay, so what's the 5%? What do you eat? It's
Like if I
cooked.
go out to dinner with some friends at a restaurant, I'll find some plant-based cooked option and have that
Okay,
so I could still socialize and get out there
right,
and stuff. And
right.
but mostly I still mostly keep it whole food plant-based. So I'll do like sweet potatoes, rice maybe here and there and stuff like that. Some steamed veggies, whatnot. But
Mhm.
yeah, most of my diet still to this day is fruit. So I'd probably say 80% of my diet is roughly fruit.
80% fruit. And
Yeah,
has it been that way all 11 years?
pretty much. Like I quickly started gravitating towards fruit when I transitioned because I'm like, fruit's just amazing. Like you don't have to season it, you don't have to do anything to it. It's just perfect. The way nature gives it to you. It's like you don't have to do anything to it. And like in the beginning, like I said, I was doing big salads, I was doing a lot of smoothies and stuff. But it takes a long time to eat a massive salad. I'm sitting there like watching a movie for like almost 2 hours eating a big salad, you know what I mean? And so and also, as I stayed raw, I noticed that coming off the standard American diet, like I said, I was malabsorbed. So everything I was eating was just kind of like going right through me. I thought I had a fast metabolism, right? And so what I found out was the longer I was plant-based, the cleaner my digestive system got, and the fuller I got quicker because of all the fiber and the fruits and veggies
Right.
and stuff. So I was like, my salads were getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and I was getting fuller and staying satiated longer. I was like, wow, this is interesting. And I also, yeah, I got to the point where I was eating mostly fruit, and some days I would just eat like half of a little orange cantaloupe, and I'd be like, I want to eat the other half of this cantaloupe, but I physically cannot. Like, I'm just full and hydrated. Like, there's no need
Uh-huh.
to eat this. I'm like, I realized I was just trying to eat things for like still emotional reasons. Like, that's a lot of the reason why people eat stuff is just to suppress emotions and stuff. But, and then it was funny too because there's another thing I want to touch on that almost forgot about is breatharianism. I don't know if you've heard of this.
Well, I have, but how do you live on that?
Right. So at first, when I heard of veganism, I found out about breatharianism. At the time, I was like, no way, that's got to be clickbait. There can't be anything to that. That's crazy. But like I said, as I was raw vegan for 3 years, eating less and less, getting fuller quicker, and looking at this half of a cantaloupe, I'm like, it was like a splinter in my mind. I'm like, there's something to this breatharian thing. And so I started looking into that and I started like experimenting with fasting. Like I did a 30-day juice fast and I was like, wow, how do I feel this good with no physical food? Then I did a watermelon feast where I only ate seeded watermelon for 52 days straight. And I didn't even drink any water because I was trying to see if I can get all my hydration through the watermelon because it's mostly water, right? It's like 98%
Uh-huh.
water. And
Uh-huh.
it was working. Now, the watermelons were in season, and I only stopped because it was the end of watermelon season and I couldn't find good watermelons anymore. But I would have kept going. It was the best I ever felt in my life. My skin was perfect. I was sleeping like 2 or 3 hours a night, feeling like I got 8 hours of quality sleep. It was wild. I was just like flying high with energy all the time and like mental clarity and just blissed out on life like a little child again. It was unreal. And and so I looked into the breatharian thing a little more, and I experimented with water fasting. I was like, I'm gonna shoot for a week. I don't think I'll make it, but if I get hungry, I'll eat. Right? Like, what do I
Now,
have to
you
lose?
were not medically supervised. You were doing this on your own, huh?
Yeah, and I don't advise
Well,
it. Like, I think you should do
yeah.
your
Now,
research.
I have interviewed Dr. Alan Goldhammer.
Mhm.
He will say if it's more than a day, you should be medically supervised.
Yeah,
But you did it not medically supervised, then how'd you do?
yeah, it was amazing. It was a roller coaster for sure. So I told myself I'm gonna shoot for a week. I've never done one day of water fasting, but if I get hungry, I'll eat, right? Like, what do I have to lose? So I started doing it, and I was only drinking distilled water at the time too, which has no minerals, no nothing in it.
Right. Which is what Dr. Goldhammer recommends.
Yeah, and my research had led me into the distilled water as well as the best source of water. And so yeah, I would just drink this like I thought I would get stomach rumbles, and I thought is what hunger is, right? Like we're told, like, oh, your stomach's making noise, that must be hungry. You're hungry, right? So I would just drink the water, and it would go away. I'm like, huh, I guess I'm just dehydrated. I'm not actually hungry, or I'm just bored, a lot of the times too. And so I was just drinking water, and I was flying high with energy. Like the first week, I was maybe 2 weeks or so, I was only sleeping like 2 to 3 hours a night, feeling like I got 8 hours of deep quality sleep. I didn't even know how to explain it. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, I'm literally not eating anything. I'm just drinking water, and I'm like thriving. I'm flying high with energy. Because I also heard that like 70 to 80% of your energy can go towards digestion. So imagine having 70 to 80% more energy in free time, like not cooking, not cleaning, not digesting, not going to the bathroom as
All
much
right.
and
Now,
stuff.
now at some point you had to get hungry, right?
I thought so, and the days were just flying by, and so like I said, it was like a roller coaster. In the beginning, I was like flying high. Then I knew like fasting, you want to be careful. I'd done a lot of research on this, and some days you have low energy, your body's going through detox symptoms, and you just need to rest and stuff. I wasn't like doing anything strenuous, no activity like that. I was in between jobs, so I was home alone. I didn't have any work to do or anything really, and yeah, it was amazing. And some of the difficulties were like the detox symptoms I had was, yeah, low energy. I got a little lightheaded towards the very end, and I was making some careless mistakes. Like I was getting up too fast, like with, like my parents came over like 2 weeks into the water fast. And I was doing fine by that point. I was losing like a pound of weight every day, which was interesting. A lot of like just fat, basically. I wasn't really losing any muscle. And I
Did
was
you
like,
feel that you needed to lose weight?
no, I wasn't doing it for any weight. I was just doing this because I was curious. I was like, I've never
Yeah,
done
but
this.
were you maybe getting too skinny if you were losing a pound a day?
Maybe, I don't know, but I felt good. So I was just going off of that, like how I was just gauging it by how I felt, not how I looked or anything like that. And so I was mostly like just researching stuff during this time because you have a lot of free time and the hardest thing is like
Right.
keeping your mind occupied, because like you have so much more free time now.
Yeah,
I
when
was just
eating
like,
isn't part of the day, you got a lot of extra time.
yeah. So I was just like researching a lot of stuff and watching a lot of YouTube videos and whatnot. And then my parents came to visit me and they noticed that I'd lost like maybe 10, 15 pounds since they had seen me last. And they're like, "Are you okay? Like, what do you do?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine. I'm just doing a water fast." They're like, "What? How long are you doing it for?" I'm like, "I don't know." And they're like, "How long has it been?" I was like, "Yeah, probably like 2 weeks." And they were shocked. They're like, "Wait, 2 weeks on just water? Like, please, Dom, don't do this." They're like begging me to stop. Like, "Don't do this. You don't know what you're doing. You're gonna cause irreversible organ damage," and just projecting all their fears onto me. And then it got a little difficult because I had that added weight on me, like them like influencing my subconscious and
Right.
trying to like fear monger me out of doing this. Because like if I hadn't talked to them, I'm feeling amazing. Like I have no issues. I'm feeling great.
You
Yeah.
had almost turned into a breatharian.
Yeah. Well, I was just experimenting with this. And and there was one day that was a little scary. I woke up and I had like really intense abdominal pain. Like I didn't know where it was coming from. And it was really excruciatingly painful. It was scary, to be honest.
Well, do you know what that was?
I found out shortly after. So I couldn't get in any comfortable position either. I just woke up in pain. I couldn't get comfortable. I tried laying on my side and everything. And eventually I found out that just getting into like a downward dog position kind of felt a little more relief in that area. And then I like passed gas and then the pain was completely gone. I'm like, are you kidding me? I just had like such
Uh,
extreme gas, like from the detox symptoms building up inside me that it felt like super painful. But after that passed, it was like smooth sailing again. I was like,
all right. Well, I'm still going to say to the listeners, I'm going with Dr. Goldhammer
yeah,
on if you're going to do an extended water fast, be medically supervised,
I would agree. Be safe
even
about
if
it.
Dominick managed to pull it off. Not everybody is a Dominick.
Yeah, it was
So,
wild. And also before this too, I probably wouldn't have done this water fast if I hadn't like found God, because I was basically an agnostic my whole life, because of circumstances when I grew up where like my older sister was killed by a drunk driver,
oh, I'm sorry.
and she was like 6 years old and standing on the side of the road with her brother waiting to cross the road. And this drunk driver just swerved off the road and killed her on impact in front of my brother. And my parents were raised like Roman Catholic, And so after that day, it kind of made them question their faith and everything. And so a few years later, they had me and my brother. That's when we were born after that. And so growing up, knowing that our sister was killed by a drunk driver, they introduced us to church and stuff, but it never really resonated with us. It never really made sense because like religion was telling us like God took her and she's in a better place now and all this stuff. I'm like, man, I was a little kid trying to make logic and sense of this. I'm like,
Yeah.
God
I,
says,
I have one similarity, excuse me, to that, in that I grew up in an agnostic family,
really?
because my father was agnostic because his father,
Mm,
who used to be religious, um, when my grandmother died young of cancer, my father was about 11 or 12. His father said, "That's it, God, I'm done with you." And so my father grew up agnostic, and I grew up in an agnostic home
hmm.
because my grandmother died of cancer young.
No, I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, it's a
But
long time ago.
yeah. But yeah, so for me, I was agnostic. And then when I went plant-based and vegan, I was like, one day I was watching slaughterhouse footage. I had seen it before, and it was like infuriating me. And I finally felt hopeless. Like by this point, I had been raw vegan for like 2 years. I didn't know any other vegans. I
Uh-huh.
felt kind of alone. I was off social media at the time. And I just started shouting at God if God was listening. And I was pissed. I was like, what do you want from me? Because I felt hopeless. Like I felt like I couldn't change the
Yeah,
world. Like there's so much damage happening and people are just
yeah.
destroying our environment so quick and killing so many animals. And yeah, these slaughterhouse workers were just like kicking and stabbing the animals, like even long before slaughter, just abusing them. And it made me mad. And so I just started shouting out at God. I'm like, what do you want from me? I was like, does it even make a difference if I'm vegan? What do you want from me? And I just kept saying those things over and over. And then right when I asked those questions and I got angry and I demanded answers, this energy just like surged through my body. Like I didn't know anything about crown, like your chakras or anything like that, but this energy just like came through my crown chakra and just like lit up my body like with the most loving, I'm getting chills talking about it, my hair's standing up. But like that was the most loving sensation I've ever experienced in my life. And it just like lit my body up. Like I felt so warm and loved inside. And and then I was getting answers too, like not no voice was spoken to me, but I was like being energetically told that like I'm loved, that God is real, that God loves me. and and then instantly I was also shown like images and flashbacks of third party like drone footage of like the environment that I was personally responsible for destroying my whole life as a non-vegan. And I had to feel God was showing me that I was a hypocrite because here I am judging these slaughterhouse workers, and I was never sorry for the damage I caused to the environment. You know, like I basically paid them to do what they're doing for most of my life. And I was never sorry about that. I never felt anything about that.
Well, you never knew about it either.
Yeah. And so God was showing me I'm a hypocrite and to have compassion for my fellow brothers who are slaughterhouse workers, you know, like a lot of these
Uh-huh.
people don't want to be doing what they're doing either, you know, like
Right.
they're
The
just
worst, and by the way, a lot of the workers in the meat packing plants are undocumented teenagers
right.
the meat packing industry exploits. So,
Yeah,
we
they
can't
are.
be angry at the undocumented 13-year-olds from Honduras
Yeah,
who the meat packing industry is uh, is exploiting.
yeah.
Uh,
And these slaughterhouse workers too, like a lot of them are like they use prison labor too, like in to slaughter some of these animals too, and like slit the throats. Like imagine slitting animals' throats all day long, like just killing these beautiful, sentient, screaming, scared, crying animals. So they use prison workers and prison labor to do a lot of this stuff. And these slaughterhouse workers have like the highest rates of suicide,
these are the
PTSD.
worst jobs in America.
It's horrible. I couldn't imagine it. So God was showing me like have compassion for them. Like they don't know, and some of them are just forced to do this stuff, and they're in positions just trying to make a living like everybody else, and they don't know. And so, but yeah, and then also like I had to go through the feelings of like, holy crap, God's real and God loves me. Like this is so new to me. It felt like being an orphan your whole life and being angry at your parents for abandoning you and then realizing that they were there the whole time, God's there the whole time, but the choice is up to you whether or not you want to reach out and know God or not. And that was the first time for me I ever connected, and I was like, holy crap. So then I was like, this is just amazing. It was the most life-changing experience ever. And also God was showing me that like God was telling me you're on the right path. Like veganism is the way, but just to calm down and like stop shoving it down people's throats. Cause I was kind of like an angry vegan at the time, you know, like,
Right.
because when you learn the truth, you're like, man, like we got to stop this. Like, this is horrible. And you
Well,
want,
Sarasota is a good place for people to learn the relationship between what they eat and what is happening to the climate. Because
yeah,
I went to college in Sarasota
nice.
and I never worried for a minute about hurricanes.
Hmm.
I was at New College right on the bay. And Sarasota has or had almost 100-year history of being lucky and not getting a direct hit from hurricanes.
Yeah.
But when I came down for my last hernia operation in December, and by the way, folks, if you've got an inguinal hernia, the best place in America to get surgery is in Sarasota at the Center for Hernia Repair, because you could get it done without that, in my opinion, unnecessary plastic hernia mesh.
Hmm.
Um, and So when I was down there, it was a couple months after, what was it, Hurricane Milton? Was that that destructive one that came around
Yeah.
October, November?
Hmm.
And I went out to St. Armand's Circle. For those who don't know Sarasota, St. Armand's Circle is this fancy shopping area with blocks and blocks full of fancy boutiques and restaurants. And it had been decimated. I mean,
Hmm.
every store, every boutique got hit with 4 feet of water.
Yeah,
And
that's pretty bad.
maybe, I don't know, 1/3 or 1/4 of them were open and the others were rebuilding. And the hurricanes, of course, are getting more violent and the storm surges higher because the waters are heating, the planet is heating, and that is happening because of hamburgers and animal foods. So it's very hard for people to see this relationship. I wrote a book about it called Food is
Mhm.
Climate, but
Nice.
it's very hard for people to see this relationship. You mean because I'm eating hamburgers, St. Armand's Circle is having problems? Come on, how could that be? Well, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
And of course, it's people all around the world eating meat. It's a global climate. So
Hmm.
it's a tough problem to solve, but there is no solving of this problem without a global transformation towards a vegan diet and the rewilding of the grazing land. If we rewild the grazing land, we can we could sequester enough carbon dioxide to reverse climate change, and there's no other way
Yeah.
we do it. So Sarasota, you could see it happening, and all over Florida, really. Florida and California seem to be getting the brunt of it in the United States, of
Mhm.
the changes from the climate.
Yeah, it's just insane. Like 70% of the world's grain and crops go to feed livestock animals. And it's like we have how many billion people starving, and we're feeding 70% of our crops to animals so people can eat meat that don't even need to eat meat, and it's actually damaging their health.
So we're starving people so that other people could get heart attacks while we destroy the climate and get attacked by fires and floods
Yeah, total
and storm
insanity.
surges. It's mass insanity. Um,
Yeah. And so yeah, back to the water fast though, real quick, finish that story.
yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't have done the water fast if I didn't feel guided to like do this and experiment with this, like knowing that like I felt safe, like that God's watching over me. I don't know how to explain it, but ever since that day, like 2 years into raw veganism, and then I did the water fast maybe like 6 months later, I just felt safe and protected along the way. I don't know how or why, but and I was just waiting for hunger to set back in, right? Like as soon as hunger was going to come in, I was going to eat something, right? But I was never hungry. And so it was like day 24 of the water fast also that it cured the TMJ. That's when the TMJ disappeared. It's like,
Oh,
and
the TMJ disappeared during the water fast.
yeah,
Wow.
So, and I heard like being in a water fast is like being on nature's operating table. Like the body just is so intelligent. It knows how to repair itself. We just have to get
Uh-huh.
out of the way and
Okay.
stop putting stuff in our body. And like I said, all that energy is going towards digestion. So when you
Mhm.
fast or do a water fast or something like that, all that energy can go towards healing the body. Then you can
Right.
regenerate like your gums, I've seen people regrow limbs that were surgically and like chopped off, like I saw.
Wait,
It's,
whoa, whoa, I have to interrupt you there. You've
yeah,
seen people regrow limbs?
yeah, and like little appendages like
What
their
are you
fingers.
talking about? Tell me what
So
you saw.
there was a guy I found from Hawaii, and a young kid. Yeah, I think he was like 19 years old or
What do you
something.
mean you found them? You found them online
I
or
found him on YouTube. He was sharing his story on YouTube, and his parents are native to Hawaii or something. They're raw vegan, and for like 50 years before they had him, he was raised raw vegan, never had a vaccine, never had a tetanus shot, and they open coconuts for a living on the side of the road. That's how they make a living. And the dad's like 55, and he can actually climb the trees faster than the 18-year-old son could, you know? They're
Uh-huh.
just like super fit. And so, anyways, one day the kid was opening coconuts with a machete and he accidentally lopped off like 2 knuckles worth of his finger.
Okay.
And so they took him to the hospital. They instantly asked him, like, had he had a vaccine or a tetanus shot? He lied, said he did. He's never had either. So they wouldn't jab him with anything. And they said, unfortunately, they couldn't save the finger. So they stitched him up and sent him home. But because of his raw vegan diet and lifestyle, he regrew his whole finger within a couple of years, fingernail included, just like a lizard losing its tail, and like sharks and alligators.
All right, you got me stunned
Dude,
here, and I'm having trouble
it's
believing this,
wild.
but I want to see the
Yeah.
evidence.
And then another one of my friends, she's Puerto Rican, raised, eating all that terrible pork and meat and stuff and
Right?
everything, destroyed her health, and had her tonsils were always swollen as a kid. So what did they do? They cut them out instead of fixing the problem. And
Uh-huh.
it's sad because like your lymph nodes and stuff, your tonsils and stuff like that are cellular waste trash
Hmm.
cans and like different parts of the body. And so yeah, they get full with stuff, but you got to just clean out your body and stuff, and they'll stop swelling up so much and be able to manage everything. But yeah, so they surgically removed her tonsils. And then she was doing the Dr. Robert Morse protocol, which he's a naturopathic fruitarian doctor here in Florida, and he heals stage 4 cancer patients, diabetes, you name it, with a fruit only diet and strong herbal tinctures. And so she was following his fruitarian diet protocol and these tinctures religiously for a couple years. And I saw her in person once, and she was like, Dom, what's this in the back of my throat? And you could literally see her tonsils regrowing.
All right, now when I was 15, I had an appendectomy. My appendix was removed. So I'm going to try the raw vegan diet and see if my appendix grows back.
Dude, anything is
That
possible. I'm a
that
total
should get
believer
a
in
lot
that.
of views, especially if I could make it grow back on camera.
I've seen people regrow their hair from male pattern baldness. I've seen them get rid of their glasses. Like I said, I healed
So this would
arthritis,
just be on a raw
legs.
vegan because I'm on a vegan diet, not raw,
Yeah.
and I have that problem on the back of my head.
Mm.
So if I go raw, I can grow that back.
It's definitely possible.
All
And
right.
sometimes also with the head stuff, it's just a matter of blood flow, getting more blood flow to your head. So like doing headstands or just sitting on a couch upside down will help get more blood flow to your scalp and more nutrients and start regrowing your hair there too.
All right. Well, we can
Yoga, like
try
doing
that.
dog positions,
Okay.
handstands, all that just help you
No,
get
I'm not
get
doing
active.
handstands.
But yeah, maybe just even sleeping in like a slightly declined position with your head slightly lower sometimes can help a little bit too.
Okay.
But yeah, anything is possible
All
for
right.
real.
So
And that's
we're
what
gonna try to take care of my bald spot, huh?
it's possible, Glenn.
All right.
I
Well, this
believe
is going to
you.
be a very important interview in my life.
Yeah, like you can literally reverse the aging process. Oh, did you hear about that documentary? The producers of The Game Changers did another one recently called "You Are What You Eat."
Okay.
And in that study, it was also called "You Are What You Eat," the twin experiment. So they took genetically identical twins,
Oh,
right?
I saw that on
I think that,
Netflix, I think.
yeah, I think it's on Netflix.
Yeah.
But they made a new discovery in this study. So they took like 100 pairs of identical twins, right? They put one on a plant-based diet and one on a meat eater diet. and they compared their blood tests after like just only a month or something like that. It was a short period of time, but they quickly saw that actually the DNA telomere strands of the plant-based twin was actually starting to extend, which is a sign of reversing the aging process. So within 30 days of just eating a cleaner, healthy plant-based diet, they were actually starting to reverse the aging process genetically, and they proved it.
Yeah. They did one thing wrong in that study, though.
Mm,
They randomized it, and
mm,
that in the scientific community, this is considered the gold standard. You randomize your trial. So you do a drug
mhm.
trial, and you give some people placebos and some people the drug, and you
Yeah,
randomize it so nobody knows
right.
who's got what, and nobody's choosing.
Hmm.
But what I found watching that documentary was they randomized it so one twin would say, "Damn it, I have to be a vegan. I wanted to eat
Yeah,
the meat."
they didn't get
And
to choose.
her twin sister would say, "Damn it, I have to eat meat. I wanted to be the vegan." And then they would cheat. So why didn't they let them choose?
Yeah, that was kind of bizarre.
You
I didn't
know,
understand
if
that
you
either.
want to, if one of you wants to eat meat and one of you doesn't, then go for it. Eat what you want so that you'll
Mhm.
stay on the diet, and then you will get better results. Because
Yeah,
some of them were cheating. You know, the one who was supposed to be vegan was having chicken, and so that makes me question some of the results.
yeah.
Um, so let me ask you this: do you still try to find? Do you still find that your diet is evolving, or you think you've hit the perfect diet that you're going to keep doing the rest of your life?
Well, that's the thing. I learned so after the water fast, right? So I healed the TMJ on like day 24, and I kept going into about day 30. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna call it quits here because as scary as it is to go 30 days without eating, I don't know how my body's gonna react to eating again. Like, what if what my parents said was right?
Right.
I'm
And
causing
that,
organ
folks, is
damage.
another reason why medical supervision
Yeah,
is recommended, because the
yeah.
refeeding process
Very, very serious.
often requires medical supervision.
Yeah. And so luckily I'd done a lot of research and like I followed Dr. Morse and Curlian photography. So Curlian photography shows that berries and grapes are one of the highest energetic foods on the planet. And so I broke my fast with seeded globe grapes because they were the only grapes I could find with seeds. I was trying to eat as like naturally and healthy as possible. And so I was not physically hungry, but I'm like, I'm just gonna eat because I want to like, I'm not trying to be like full-time breatharian or anything. Like I like food. I want to eat food. I love food. And so I was like, I'm gonna call it quits here and just like gently refeed and start eating food again. And so I ate a handful of seeded globe grapes, like literally just maybe like 6, 7 grapes.
Uh-huh.
And my body was like, I was full after eating that. I'm like, I couldn't
Yeah.
even eat more grapes if I wanted to. I'm like, all right, I'm listening to you, body. And then it was crazy too. Like right after that, I think I passed like dissolved kidney stones too. It was wild. They just came out like I was having trouble urinating, and so I just sat
Mhm.
down and waited for a second, like no pain or anything, but just like a blockage. And then afterwards, like a couple minutes of waiting, then like these little things just shot out into the toilet, and I was like, "What the heck was that?" And I pulled one of them out and put like with a pair of tweezers and put it on the side of the toilet bowl, and I crushed it, and it's just like dissolved into like these little granules. I was like, "Is that like a dissolved kidney stone or something?" But it just passed effortlessly because like water is the best solvent we know. Like stones in a river, they're just smooth, you
So
know.
you didn't have any pain.
No, no pain. It just came out. I
Wow.
was like, wow, that's amazing.
All
And
right.
anyways, so I just started eating more seeded globe grapes as the days went on, just increasing the amount of grapes to
So
gently,
you prefer seeded grapes to seedless grapes.
yeah. Hmm. Because it's just like hybridized and it's just a little
Uh-huh.
further away from how. But even Dr. Morse and Curling Photography shows, even those seedless fruits and hybridized fruits, still, it's one of the highest energy sources on the planet. Like compared to meat, it's like not even it's
Yeah,
not even a
of
thing.
course.
It's yeah, it's far superior. So I ate seeded globe grapes for like maybe 10 days, just gradually increasing the amount. And it was crazy too, Glenn. At the end of this water fast, I still had dark impacted fecal matter coming out. 30 days not eating anything, and I was still having detox and stuff coming out of me. Like I was like, man, this is crazy. They say Jesus fasted 40 days, right? I'm like, the modern average Americans are gonna have to fast like 90 days to come even close to like getting the same healing results or something. But anyways, so yeah, then I introduced other fruits after those 10 days, and I probably did fruit for about 90 days after the water fast, and still not eating a lot of fruit. And then I introduced like little light salads and stuff and smoothies and just worked my way back into to eating normal food again.
Right.
And but yeah, so ever since that water fast, I never experienced hunger. I don't know what hunger is anymore to this day. And
Wow.
I actually went through a breatharian healing school online training where they guide you through a 3-day dry fast. You don't eat anything, you don't drink anything, you don't shower, you don't wash your hands because your skin will absorb water. And they want you to experience this threshold of like going 3 days without anything. They call it a dry fast. And you feel your body being physically nourished and like taken care of by some external source of energy. And it's such a wild experience. And it's like from that experience, you're just like changed forever. Like now, and contrary to what everyone thinks that a breatharian isn't someone who just doesn't eat food ever again, right? And if they do, they're not breatharian. Food becomes a conscious choice. And how cool and freeing is that? Like now I can just eat because I love food when I want to eat food rather than, oh, I got to eat this for protein or I got to eat that to maintain. And, it's just a really liberating mindset to experience and go through. So, and a lifestyle. So I don't know, it's wild.
Well, that's fascinating, and you're a fascinating guy, Dominick.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for joining me on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you
I
for having me.
recommend everyone go to Ionie's Living Foods and Tonics in
Totally worth
Sarasota,
it.
Florida. If you're lucky, you'll see Dominick there.
I basically
And
live there.
what's that?
I said I basically live there. I'm there almost
Yeah,
every day
Dominick
except
lives
Wednesday.
there. And, tell him you saw him on the show. And oh, Dominick, will you do me a favor and tell Ionie I'd love to have her on the show.
Yeah, I will do, definitely. That'd be awesome.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. And everyone, go to Ionie's Living Foods and Tonics in
Yeah.
Sarasota. All right. That's without food practically.
Yeah, mostly fruit, right?
Yeah.